The closer she gets to something real, the harder she runs. Not because she doesn't feel it, but because she feels it more than she's ever allowed herself to feel anything. You've been reading her distance as rejection, her silence as indifference, her pulling away as proof that she's losing interest, and that single misread may have cost you more than you fully know. Because here is what no one ever tells you. The man she goes coldest on is rarely the man she cares about least. He is almost always the man she wants most. And the intensity of her withdrawal is not a measure of how far you are from her. It is a measure of exactly how close you've gotten to something inside her she has never let anyone touch. What lives in that place, that is what this is about. And by the end of this, you will never misread her silence the same way again. Most men experience a woman pulling away and immediately do one of two things. They either chase harder, texting more, calling more, trying to explain or fix something they can't even name, or they shut down completely, deciding the connection was never real to begin with. Both of those responses make complete psychological sense, and both of them are almost always wrong. What you're watching when she goes cold is not emotional withdrawal. It is emotional flooding. The part of her that knows how to protect herself has activated, not because you did something wrong, not because she changed her mind, but because something in her recognized that what she's feeling for you is real. And real, for a woman who has learned that love costs more than it gives, is the most dangerous thing in the world. She is not pulling away from you. She is pulling away from the version of herself she becomes when she is around you. The one who wants things, the one who hopes. And hoping, for someone who has been hurt at the level of full vulnerability, feels less like an emotion and more like standing at the edge of something she already knows how to fall from. This is not irrational behavior. It is a deeply intelligent survival response that her nervous system built long before she ever met you. And the frustrating truth is, the more genuine chemistry exists between you, the more intensely that response fires. But this is where it gets darker. There is a psychological pattern that quietly runs beneath almost every relationship where real passion coexists with real distance. Attachment researchers call it the anxious avoidance cycle. And while that sounds clinical, what it describes is something most men have felt without ever having the words for it. It is the experience of wanting someone who simultaneously makes you feel more alive than anyone you've met and more confused than any situation you've been in. And for a woman who has learned to associate emotional intimacy with eventual pain, that combination does not create comfort. It creates a system-level alarm. Here is what happens inside her when you start to get genuinely close. Every wall she built, quietly, carefully, over years of disappointments she never fully processed, begins to vibrate. Not because she wants to shut you out, but because her system knows that walls only vibrate when something real is pressing against them from the other side. She does not pull away from men who don't matter. Men who don't matter never get close enough to shake anything. You are feeling her distance right now because you are the first person in a long time who has made it past the outer layer. And the outer layer was never the real protection. What she is actually protecting is the version of herself that once believed in love without conditions. The one that existed before she learned what it costs to open up completely and then watch that trust become something used against her. She rebuilt herself after that, carefully, intelligently. And the version she rebuilt knows how to be warm without being truly open, how to be present without being fully accessible, how to let someone close enough to feel the warmth of connection, but not close enough to cause the specific kind of damage she cannot survive again. You got past that. And now she doesn't quite know what to do with herself around you. The part most men miss entirely is that her pulling away is not a rejection of who you are. It is a direct response to how much she feels in your presence. When she is with you, her emotional regulation, the careful system she constructed to stay safe, begins to slip. She laughs in a way she doesn't control. She says something she hadn't planned to say. She holds eye contact a second longer than she meant to. And those unguarded moments frighten her more than anything you could ever do wrong. And this is the part most people completely miss. The withdrawal almost always comes directly after one of those moments. Watch the pattern closely enough and you will see it without fail. Something real passes between you. Something honest, something unscripted, and within hours, sometimes within minutes, the wall returns. A shorter reply, a longer silence before she responds, a sudden retreat back to the surface version of herself. This is not cruelty. This is a woman urgently trying to recover control over a feeling she has already decided she cannot afford to lose control of. There is also something happening at the neurological level that makes all of this far harder to navigate than it looks from the outside. When emotional intimacy and emotional danger get paired together repeatedly over time, the brain begins to wire them together. The oxytocin that rises when she feels genuinely close to someone she wants, that same chemistry that should feel safe and warm and good, begins to activate her threat response instead. Because her nervous system has been taught, through lived experience, that feeling this close to someone means something painful is approaching. She is not choosing to pull away from you. Her body is already moving before her mind has time to argue otherwise. This is why logic doesn't reach her when she goes cold. Explaining yourself doesn't work. Reassurance doesn't work. Because none of what is happening is occurring at the level of thought. It is happening somewhere older than thought. And the only path through it is not more words. It is more safety than she has ever been genuinely offered, which requires a quality of patience that most men run out of long before she can find her way back. Now stop and ask yourself something honest. How did you respond the last time she pulled away? Because if your answer is that you chased, that you pushed, asked questions, needed something from her, made your discomfort her responsibility to resolve, then you did not give her safety. You gave her confirmation. Confirmation that what she was already afraid of was true. That getting close to you would eventually mean carrying pressure she didn't ask for. That love, again, would come with a hidden cost. The most counterintuitive truth in all of this is that the behavior that feels like losing her is often the only behavior that gives her a genuine reason to come back. This next part is the one that changes everything. What she wants most and what she runs from hardest are not opposites. They are the exact same thing. She does not want a man she can predict. She does not want a love that feels safe in the small, manageable, emotionally contained way she has settled for before. What she wants, at a depth she may never find the language for, is to be fully known by someone she cannot walk away from without feeling the weight of that absence. And that want is so large and so quietly terrifying that it produces the only response her system knows how to generate when it gets too close to being realized. Retreat. She will go quiet. She will find small reasons to create distance. She will disappear into herself for stretches of time you cannot explain. And in those moments, she is not testing you, not playing a game, not waiting for you to prove something. She is doing something far more complicated and far more human than any of that. She is finding out whether you are the kind of man who remains present when she disappears. Not because you are desperate for her to return, but because you understand something about her that she has never been able to explain to anyone, including herself. And here is what nobody talks about. The man she ultimately chooses, really chooses, with the part of her that has never been wrong, is almost never the one who gave the most, or said the most, or pursued the hardest. He is the one who stayed steady in her absence, who did not collapse when she went cold, who did not punish her for protecting herself, who understood, without needing her to justify it, that her withdrawal was never truly about him. It was about everything she survived before she ever knew his name. That steadiness, quiet, unhurried, unshaken, is the only language that reaches the part of her that distance was designed to protect. If you are watching her pull away right now, understand this. She is not leaving. She is listening. Listening for the sound of someone who doesn't need her to be available in order to remain. What you now understand about her silence changes something real. The next time she goes cold, you will not reach for your phone in a panic. You will not build a story about what you did wrong or spiral into the fear that she is gone for good. You will recognize it for exactly what it is. A woman standing at the edge of something real, doing the only thing her nervous system has ever known how to do when she gets this close. And your steadiness in that moment, unhurried, undemanding, quietly present, is the thing that will reach her where no amount of words or effort ever could. But what happens inside her the moment she realizes you have stopped chasing entirely, when the quiet is yours and not hers? That particular silence carries a different kind of weight. And that story begins somewhere else on this channel. Have you ever held yourself still when everything in you wanted to reach for her, and felt in your gut that her distance meant something she couldn't say out loud? Tell me what that felt like. Drop it in the comments.